This video focuses on the learning target. I can solve a radical equation. A radical equation is an equation with a radical where the variable is in the radicand. An example would be the square root of x plus 4 equals 5. Notice that the part that we're going to be solving for our variable is underneath the radicand. To be able to solve a radical equation, there are 3 steps you really need to follow. Step 1, you need to isolate the radical on one side of the equation if necessary. For example, this example I gave you, the radical is already by itself on one side, so you wouldn't have to do step 1. And remember, that really just means get the radical by itself. Step 2, we need to undo that radical so we can actually solve for x. So to do that, we're going to raise each side of the equation to the same exponent. That keeps the balance. And that will eliminate the radical, and then we'll just have a linear or quadratic or a polynomial equation that we can use, that we can solve for x from there. And then step 3 is to actually solve for x using your basic algebra skills. So if we look at the examples down here, the first example is 2 times the square root of x plus 1 equals 4. We need to isolate the radical. In other words, anything that's not part of the radical term, we need to undo. 2 times the square root of this. The 2 is not underneath the radical. I need to actually undo the 2 first by dividing. That will leave me with the square root of x plus 1 equal to 2. Now I want to undo or to get rid of that square root so that I can actually solve for x. And the exponent that will undo square root is, I'm going to square both sides. Exponent of 2 and square root undo each other or cancel each other out, and you're just left with x plus 1 is equal to 4. And now you have a basic linear equation where you can actually solve for x. If you subtract 1 from both sides, you will get an answer of x equals 3. Let's look at an example where we're working with another type of radical. How about the cube root of 2x minus 9 minus 1 equals 2? Again, your first step is you want to get the radical term by itself on one side of the equation. So I'm going to start by adding 1 on each side. That will get me to the cube root of 2x minus 9 is equal to 3. The exponent that's going to undo a cube root is to raise this to the third power. And cube root and the third power undo each other, and you're just left with 2x minus 9. And then over here, 3 to the third is 27. Again, I have a basic linear equation where I can just use my algebra operations to get x by itself. I'm going to start by adding 9 to both sides. That will get me 2x equals 36. Then I'll divide by 2, and x equals 18.